entry of humanitarian aid into the besieged Gaza enclave. The release process will span 4 days with an extension for each additional set of 10 hostages freed. And now for the local weather. It's currently 19 degrees Celsius on this warm, sunny afternoon in Busan. Evening temperatures will drop to 13 degrees Celsius amid clear skies. That'll do for this hour's news. Thank you for joining. You're listening to BEFM 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is Steve Hatherly Reboot. BEFM 부산영어방송.
What you're about to hear is amazing. That's because you're locked in to Busan's #1 English radio station. Whether you're at home, at work, or driving in your car, you will be exposed to radio excellence. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because it starts right now.
Everyone is busy. We hear it all the time from our friends and our colleagues, but we use it all the time about ourselves, too. How you doing these days, Steve? You good? Oh, yeah, just busy. Our busy lives and careers do not often grant us the opportunity to dream. But what about the things that we want to do after our careers? The things that keep us busy come to a close. I'm talking about our retirement. How about you? Have you thought about what you want to achieve after you achieve the things you achieve in your career, your retirement? It's Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. I'm Steve Hatherly. This is Steve Hatherly Reboot. Let's go. That was Noah Kahan with Stick Season, and here he is singing about a long-distance relationship that did not work out. He feels isolated from the rest of the world in Vermont, that is a state in the United States, especially with the pandemic situation, and being in a rural area of Vermont, he refers to it as the sticks. Yeah, right, that's an English expression. Napidi, have you ever heard that before? The sticks? I live in the sticks. The sticks means like way out, way far away from the city, way far away from everywhere. You can also say, I live in the middle of nowhere. Or if something is in the middle of nowhere, it means there's not a lot happening in that area. And the more slang expression is the sticks. Anyway, he refers to the sticks, being in the sticks. It makes him wonder what could have been different if he had been in a different place or a different time with his love. You can hear the expression stick season, right? That's the title of the song. Stick season refers to like fall, late fall, and then winter when all the leaves fall off the trees. So the trees, they look like they're on a diet, right? They look like they haven't eaten in 6 months because they look so thin without their leaves on them. They look like sticks. And that's why it's called stick season. Anyway, that one's not so commonly used. Anyway, that's what he's thinking about as he wrote that song. He got us into the show today. We are live. I am live in the studio from Busan on this Wednesday afternoon. It's a nice day today. Sun is shining outside, a little bit warmer than it has been in previous days. And we always say, yes, please, when the warmer weather comes. Welcome to the show, everyone. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Jongguan, and Noksan areas, in Seoul on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. I'm your host, Steve Hatherly, and I thank you very much for being with us today. First of all, let's talk about YouTube. Go over there. Search youtube.com. That's easy. Then search BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. That's a little bit trickier, but still easy. And there you can find our live stream. Watch our live stream there until the songs start to play, and once they do start to play, then they will fade out, and that is all due to music copyright issues. We apologize for that inconvenience. That's no fun. But what you can do is open up your BEFM app, or, of course, you can listen to the music through FM radio as well. Then when the song's finished, you can go back and resume your live stream. We appreciate your cooperation. We appreciate your understanding on that. And as I say every day, hopefully at some point in the future, that will get itself worked out. All right, on the show today, coming up in hour number one, we'll start things off with today's Hot Off the Press, where you'll check out some of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. A lot of music gets released every single week, and we pick out a couple of songs each day that we hope that you'll really enjoy. Then, after that, bring on Busan. Jimmy will be in the studio to give us the best that Busan has to offer in terms of places to go and things to see. And I, of course, as I always do, will learn a little bit of the local dialect as well. Then in hour number two, for our fun fact of the day, are you a coffee drinker? Are you a coffee lover? I absolutely 100% am. Are you like me? Even in the wintertime, it's iced Americano for me. The weather, the temperature makes no difference whatsoever. This is why hot coffee, when you first get your hot coffee, you can't drink it because it's too hot. So you have to wait a few minutes, or you have to awkwardly take the top off of the coffee and then and hope that you don't spill any, but inevitably you do spill a little bit. Then you have to awkwardly put the top back on, which is equally difficult because there's so much coffee in the cup. So again, you have to revisit the spilling issue. It's just a pain. So then you have to wait. You have to wait for the coffee to cool down a little bit. So then you take a few sips of your coffee and it's nice. It's a refreshing hot cup of coffee. And you can drink it comfortably and not burn yourself. Okay, that's good. But then 3 minutes later, the coffee has cooled down to the point that it's too cold now. And without ice, cool coffee just doesn't taste good. See? I should have been a lawyer. This is a very strong argument for iced Americano. Anyway, yes, I have 1 or 2 or 3 a day, depending on what's happening that day. And sometimes I get an extra shot of espresso in there as well. The reason we are talking about coffee is because I've never heard of this before. Maybe you have. Jacu coffee, if I'm saying that correctly. This comes from Brazil. And this is expensive. And there's a reason that this Jacu coffee that comes from Brazil is super expensive. In Europe, if you buy this at the department store in Europe, I don't know if it's available in Korea. I've never seen it for sale in Korea, but I've never looked for it either, so maybe it is. You'll be shocked at how much people pay for this coffee. We will talk about Jacu coffee and why it is so expensive and why it is so rare through our fun fact of the day. After that, for Inside Korea, we've got a busy day. We've got 3 stories to talk about. The first one's quite interesting. The number of middle-aged boomerang kids is on the rise. Have you heard the term boomerang kids before? In the West, people will commonly move out of their homes at 18 years old, right? And sometimes in Korea, too. But in Korea, it's common for young people, 20s, maybe even 30s, to live with their families at home. In the West, of course, that situation can happen too. Maybe not as common as it is here in Korea, but of course, it's a case-by-case, family-by-family situation. Boomerang kids refer to kids who live with their families, pardon me, in their 40s and 50s, and they continue to do so. And they do that mainly for financial reasons. That number is rising here in the country, and that's what this story is about, and that's what we're going to talk about for our first story. After that, well, connected to our fun fact of the day, have you ever had instant coffee before? Of course, your answer is yes, right? Instant coffee, the packets here in Korea are super popular. A long time ago, they used to be separated in, I think, 3 different packs. Napidi, am I correct about that? When you bought instant coffee before, you'd have the coffee part, then you'd have the sugar part, and then you'd have the cream part. He's saying, yes, that's true. But then there was an amazing invention where all of a sudden you could get the coffee part, the sugar part, and the cream part all in the same package. Whoa, that was a game changer. That was a real game changer. Well, the reason I bring this up is because in this story, they're talking about the fact that in K-dramas, a lot of the times the characters will drink instant coffee. And this has caused an instant coffee boom from Korea on the global stage because K-dramas are so popular around the world these days. Isn't that fun? I'll give you more details on that when we get to our second hour. Then, this is such a sweet story. An 82-year-old grandmother took the Korean college entrance exam, the Sunung, this year. It was last week, right? It was last Thursday when students took the Sunung exam, the Sunung test, and there was an 82-year-old grandmother that took that test as well, and I'll talk about that too. We'll also have Today in Music, where we'll find out what happened in today's music history following those 3 stories, and of course, I'll check your messages throughout the program as well. All right, question of the day today. This is what I was talking about in the opening of the show. Everybody's busy. Busy, busy, busy. Everybody uses that word all the time. In Korean, too. 너무 바빠, 너무 바빠요. But I'm not talking about your career, or I'm not talking about why you are so busy in your daily life. My point about the busyness is that we often, and again, this is what I was talking about in the opening, it doesn't leave us much time to dream. Dream about realistic things for us when we get older, or perhaps some silly, maybe even unattainable things when we get older. I had this idea last night, and I was thinking about, what will I do after radio is finished? And hopefully that's not for another, 20 or 30 years for me. But after that, what would I do? I thought. I don't know why I started thinking about this, but I did. What am I going to do? And I don't mean to as a career or to make money, but just what do I want to do? And I thought about this and see what you think of my idea. about 20 years ago, when I lived in Seoul, I was friends with a DJ. He was a really good DJ in the Hongdae area. And we had agreed I was going to teach him English and he was going to teach me how to DJ. That never happened because of our busy schedules. But I was thinking last night, maybe after I'm finished with the radio, maybe I can become a DJ. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, yeah, but Steve, you're going to be like 70 years old. Exactly. There's not a lot of 70-year-old, 75-year-old DJs out there. So I can be DJ Grandpa. Napidi, what do you think? And I can play in the clubs. And the novelty, the marketing point is, this is the Haraboji DJ. Come and check out his cool music. What do you think about that? So this is kind of what I'm talking about today. I want you to dream. I want you to have fun with your answers today. So here's my question. After you retire, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn that might be fun for you? 은퇴 후에 하고 싶은 것 또는 배우고 싶은 것은 무엇인가요? Text me your answers. Pounder sharp 9050. That's on your cell phone for 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. And don't you dare text me and say, Steve, you're already Haraboji DJ. No, don't you do that. I will cut you off from this show if you do that. I'm just kidding. I would never do that. We'll have a break. And when we come back, we'll get into today's Hot Off the Press. Here's Johnny, Trigger of Love.
Hey, hey, run.
That was Johnny, Trigger of Love, and now it's time for today's Hot Off the Press, where from Monday to Friday we bring you two of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. A bunch of songs come out every week, and we choose a couple each day that we hope that you will fall in love with. We'll start today with New Rules' new track, Ghost Town. Since their debut release in 2019, UK-Irish trio New Rules have steadily grown into a force to be reckoned with within the music industry. And with the release of Ghost Town, they further proved their mettle as a band worth time and attention. The pop anthem perfectly blends the vocal talents of the New Rules members, giving each of them time in the spotlight as they wrestle with the feelings of abandonment that often come at the end of a relationship. After the song from New Rules, we'll hear the new one from Lauren Mayberry. This one's called Shame. Scottish synth-pop band Church's lead singer Lauren Mayberry has shared her latest solo single. It's called Shame. The second track that Mayberry has released under her own name, Shame, is a step away from the acoustic piano balladry of Are You Awake? That's a song that came out earlier this year. Instead, Mayberry returns to the familiar area of synth pop and electronica. She said, I had the idea for a while of a song that had the tagline of What a Shame, but in a sarcastic way. And the word shame having a double meaning, the shame you feel and internalize, but what a shame you feel like that and can't change it. All right, here we go with our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. Brand new from New Rules, Ghost Town, and then the new one from Lauren Mayberry, Shame.
Got my attention, my new Oh, what a shame.
That's pretty cool. That was Lauren Mayberry. Lauren Mayberry is also Churches in a different group. You'll probably know that band, right? That was her as herself with the track Shame, and before that, New Rules, Ghost Town. Those were our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. My question that I have for you this afternoon, okay, I want you to think into your future. If you're not retired yet, or if you are retired now, then think into your immediate future. And I want to ask you, what do you want to do or what do you want to learn that's fun? I mentioned my DJ Grandpa idea. We'll see what Jimmy thinks about that in just a sec. But that's kind of a fun, silly idea for after I retire. And this is one of the things you can answer that way, or you can answer in a serious way as well if you already have a plan and you've thought about it, just like 1149 who texted in, when I get old, I want to open a coffee shop. Yeah, that would be a cool thing to do. What would be the theme of your coffee shop? I'm curious to know. What I mean by theme is like, how would you design your interior? The coolest coffee shop I've ever been to in Korea was in Gangneung. I went there. It was this place that was just on a very small road, not near the main area at all. And I went in, and everywhere in this coffee shop, there was only two things: records, like LPs, and speakers. There must have been 50 speakers in there. And those speakers were made by the coffee shop owner. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, this looks amazing. So I talked to him. He said, yeah, I was an engineer in Seoul. And when I retired, I moved to Gangneung and I opened my shop. And my hobby is making speakers. So that's what I do. I just make speakers and I put them in my shop. And I love music. So I have my LP collection and I just play music and hang out here all day and make speakers. I thought, you're amazing, that you're a genius. So I asked him, sir, if I asked you to make some speakers for me, if I paid for the delivery, I would come here and, do everything and pick it up and everything. If I paid for the delivery back to Seoul, sir, would you make some speakers for me? I'm a radio announcer, sir. That would be an amazing thing. And he said, radio 진행자. I said, yeah. So would you make some speakers for me? And he said, no. I said, all right, well, that was a short conversation. But he said, no, it's just my hobby. I don't want to make a business out of it at all. I don't want to charge people. I do it just for fun. But let me tell you, he made some gorgeous speakers. He could easily make a business if he wanted to. Anyway, 은퇴 후에 하고 싶은 것 또는 배우고 싶은 것은 무엇인가요? Kelly Kim sent in an answer. There's a couple of more answers, but we'll save them, if that's okay with you, until hour number 2. Text in your answer, pounder sharp 9050 on your cell phone for 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores and leave us a comment after logging in. It's Wednesday afternoon, and Jimmy's in the studio for another edition of Bring On Busan. What do you think of my idea, Jimmy? After I become like 75 years old, like DJ Grandpa.
That's such a brilliant idea. I love it.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all. And I actually thought of my DJ name during the Hot Off the Press songs today.
What is it?
DJ Hara.
DJ Hara.
Yeah, because Haraboji. So DJ Hara would be my name.
That sounds hilarious.
I'm gonna make.
But cool.
You know what? You're gonna laugh at me now, and I'm gonna make $1 million. You're gonna see me standing next to Paris Hilton at some sort of DJ festival in about 30 years.
Hey, who knows? I'll be like waiting at the backside, like waiting for my turn. I'll probably become a number 2 DJ Haraboji.
There you go. Yeah. How you doing, Jimmy? Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing great as always.
What about you? After you retire, have you thought about that? Like what type of fun thing you might like to do or you might like to learn?
Tons. But first, I never actually thought about retiring. I'll probably just gonna work until, I don't know, we live up to 100 years now. But on top of that, I actually thought about maybe like just exploring around the world Or also, I was really into actually learning how to DJ too, because I like Shaquille O'Neal. He's the NBA Hall of Famer.
Is Shaq a DJ?
He's a DJ.
I didn't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew he did some rapping on the side. I didn't know he was a DJ
He's
too.
a DJ. He's a DJ Diesel.
That's his name?
Yeah, and he's pretty popular too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I actually thought about that too, but like that console thing is too complicated for me, so I'll probably give up really easily.
Yeah, well, I think I would love to buy some DJ decks and put them in my house. But there's another person living in my house that I have to convince
Yeah.
to start my new DJ hobby, and I'm not sure if she, my wife, would be on board with that or
You'll
not.
probably gotta get kicked out of the house, man.
Well, because it's not my house, it's our house.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it, Jimmy. It's time for Bring On Busan. And by the way, this will be our final installment for this season because we have a new season of the show starting next week. But don't say, because you will be back on the show next season.
I know.
For a similar segment, a little bit different, a little bit of a change, but we won't talk about that until next week. But for Bring On Busan, this will be the last installment.
Right.
The last official one. So
Right.
where are we going today?
Yeah, so let's make it fun since it's the last episode. I'm not actually taking you anywhere. We're not actually, going to this particular place, but instead, I'm going to, share this information that the international visitors, whenever they get a chance to visit Busan, they can use this pass to get tons of benefits.
Are you talking about the Visit Busan Pass?
You're
No.
too smart.
No, this is great because I know I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't exactly know what it is or what the benefits are, or I don't know anything about it. So
That's right.
This is perfect today.
But Steve, have you ever seen those banners standing at those KTX station or maybe at the airport, saying that visit Busan Pass?
I don't think I've seen them advertised because I don't often go to Busan Station to the KTX spot or to the airport.
true.
But I'm very aware of what this is in terms of just the general idea. It's something related to tourists. It's great for tourists so that they can get around the city in kind of using one card.
Yeah.
And to make it a simplified process. I think locals can use it as well. I'm not sure about that, but we're going to learn all about it today. Yeah.
For sure. So this Visit Busan Pass, transportation card style access pass that makes it easy for international tourists from, other countries to, tour around Busan easily.
So this is specifically for tourists?
Well, here's the thing. Non-Korean passport holders can use this pass.
Oh, okay.
Which means Busan citizens nor Koreans cannot use this pass.
I understand. But members of the expat community in Korea, as long as they don't hold a Korean passport, they can use this pass.
Definitely.
Okay. This is relatively new, isn't it?
It is. This pass was actually launched this September. So they actually had this launching party thing on 12th of September. So that's only been 2 months. So it's pretty new. And with one pass, anyone can freely use more than 34 paid tourist facilities here in Busan.
Oh, it's not just a transportation card.
No, not at all.
It's a transportation card, and it allows you entrance into certain spots.
Yes,
too.
those major tour attractions. Also, Steve, it's not done yet. You can get discounts at more than 129 restaurants,
Oh, wow.
shopping places, and those activity facilities and accommodation too.
Wow.
Yeah, nice, right?
This is a good idea. I mean, I guess this is done to increase tourism.
For sure.
Here in Busan, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so you can use it for the bus. You can use it for the subway. Can you use it in taxis as well, like a pay card? Do you know?
Well, if it's a prepaid transportation card, you can.
Okay.
But you can also use this on that city tour bus too.
Is that the bus that goes in the water and on the land, or is that just the one that's on the land?
Just the one that it's on the land. It
Gotcha.
goes all those major tour attractions.
Okay, so 34 paid tourist facilities here in Busan, discounts at 129 different restaurants, shopping spots, activity spots, accommodation spots. So we're talking
Yes.
hotels and things too.
For sure.
And then other tourist facilities as well. This is pretty impressive. Okay, we're going to learn more about exactly what this Visit Busan Pass entails when we come back from a break. More coming up with Jimmy in today's Bring on Busan after AJR. Yes, I'm a mess. That was AJR. Yes, I'm a mess. And today with Jimmy and Bring on Busan, in the final installment of Bring on Busan before we get to our new season next week. And don't worry, Jimmy will be with us next week as well. We're talking about the Visit Busan Pass. And before the break, we learned about some of the many benefits that it has. 34 different paid tourist facilities in Busan, discounts at more than 129 restaurants, shopping facilities, different activities, accommodations too. And you can use this pass as a transportation card as well for subways and buses and the city tour bus. So I guess it looks like a credit card.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there are two different types. One is the actual physical, the credit card type of a pass, and the other one is a mobile pass.
You can put it on your phone.
Right.
Okay. All right, so let's learn more about this then. What else do we need to know?
Yeah, we mentioned about like visiting those benefits with the restaurants and shopping districts and everything. But then think about it. For the long-term tourist, you can use all these benefits. But let's say just you're staying for like a couple nights or only a day or two trip, then you're just not gonna use all these benefits. But no worries, because there is a time-based and quantity-based.
Oh, there's two different types of cards.
Right.
Okay.
So
Time-based and quantity-based.
So the time-based pass allows you to freely visit or enter tourist facilities registered as a free affiliates within a specific time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the time-based passes, they allow you to freely visit and enter registered tourist facilities within a limited time. So that's good.
No extra cost.
No, not at all.
But you are restricted. So for example, if they say if you have the Busan Pass, you can visit Busan Pass. You can come between Monday and Friday between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. or something like that.
This is how it works. Oh, that's a good guess, though. But they offer 24-hour or 48-hour access.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I see what you mean. So,
Yeah.
So the card has an expiration time.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So, but what I like about this, though, once you like swipe and use it, that's when that time actually starts.
Oh, not from the time that you purchase it.
No.
Okay. It's kind of like a game, isn't it? After you swipe that card the first time, you say, okay, let's go. We have 48 hours to do everything. Yeah.
It's kind of like a mission where you kind of have to let's see how many tour attractions that we can actually go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's the time-based one. What's the quantity-based? Like based on the number of places that you go to?
For sure. It's like, you go to an amusement park. There's like a big 3 and big 5 rides that you can actually go on. So same thing. It's a quantity-based passes like big 3 and big 5. So you get to choose those major attractions that you would love to go.
Okay. And there's no time limit on this one?
The people who can stay over 3 days, like such as, MICE purposes, like meetings and conferences or medical tourists, they can just only choose 3 or 5 free locations and use them freely for up to 6 months.
6 months is the time limit there.
Right.
Okay. Where do we buy this pass?
This one, you can easily just purchase it through online, through the online travel agencies.
Okay.
But
and
then,
also, Napidi just sent me a link. www.visitbusanpass.com. Let me just open up this link. I'm guessing you can purchase it there as well?
Definitely.
Okay.
And then you can just physically go to Gimhae International Airport or Busan Station to purchase the actual card.
Perfect, because those are the places where people typically arrive when they are visiting the city. So as soon as you get off the plane or the train, then you can pick up your card there. If you want, you can get it online. And I've just opened up this this website. Thank you, NaPD, for this. Check it out if you want to. VisitBusanPass.com. That's all one word, VisitBusanPass.com. And then when you open up that web page, as I'm doing right now, then it highlights some of the attractions that you can check out when you're here in Busan. So just at the top of this list, Busan X The Sky, Busan Museum of Movies, there's a hotel, there's Busan Tower, Trick Eye Museum. Oh, I didn't know there was a Trick Eye Museum in Busan. Samyeon Museum, Haeundae Beach Train, Skyline, Luge. Wow. So visiting this, visitbusanpass.com, basically allows you to plan your trip to Busan all in one website.
I know. So if it's like a family trip, then you guys can actually choose where to go and then give your children an option. Like you have 48 hours. Let's choose only 3 or 5 spots.
There's laser tag?
Yeah.
Did you know there was laser tag?
I knew it. So let's go and check
Did you know there was laser tag? Have you done that before?
No, I haven't, but I know where where we can go and check it out. So I'll take you there next time.
I've never done laser. I got to take my wife to laser tag. She's going to get super mad when we do that. I can just see her now. No, this is jokes aside. This is a really wonderful website because there's nothing confusing about this. A lot of websites you have to click around various tabs and find stuff, which can be annoying, but everything is on the first page here. You just keep scrolling down and scrolling down and scrolling down.
Right.
And then after you get to the bottom, then you can find all of your contact information and telephone numbers and all that stuff if you want to, if you need support making your decisions or how to purchase anything. And all the restaurants are on here too, by the looks of things.
Definitely.
Wow.
And just one extra tip that you have to be aware of yourself is that when you purchase this card, you have to actually make sure to bring your passport or ID.
Oh, so when you use the card, you have to show your ID to...
No, when you actually pick up that actual card.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you use it,
Don't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
By the way, when you use it, do you have to, do you announce it beforehand? Because you said restaurants. So how can we know if the restaurant is one of the restaurants that accepts this card?
Well, that's all written in that website,
Okay.
first of all. So you basically have to do some of those research in
Okay.
advance. And also, as I said earlier, they put like those banners that, saying that, oh, we accept this
Okay.
Visit Busan Pass.
If you are here and you're curious and you don't see any sign, just take out the card and just show them and just
Right.
kind of ask like, can I use
yeah,
this here? And
just to make sure to double check.
Yep. Okay. We didn't talk about how much these cards are.
Yeah. Well, this pass itself can be kept for 1 year after the date of purchase before using it. So make sure to keep that in mind too. And the price range, well, it's kind of different. So time-based passes are priced at 49,000 won, and 24-hour passes is 69,000 won. And for the 48-hour pass. And Big 3 pass cost 45,000 won, and Big 5 pass cost 65,000 won. So make sure to keep that in mind.
49,000 won to 69,000 won, but nothing more than 69,000 won.
Nope.
It's really reasonable, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I need to get one of these because I can get one of these.
Oh, yeah,
Can't I?
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely. And
very
then go to
nice.
that laser
We're going
tag.
to laser tag for sure. I want to call my wife right now and tell her to get her cool sunglasses ready.
For sure.
All right. This is going to be the last time we do our Hatherly segment, Jimmy.
Yes. Let's listen to the short audio clip first.
마, 마.
Easy peasy.
Yep, it means mom.
Mom, no.
Mama. No, it means queen.
Oh.
Because when I watch the historical dramas, they always go,
Yeah.
mama.
That's a good call. That's a good guess. But in Busan dialect, like I can say ma, or like aggressively ma.
Oh, so it means like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Okay. So in other parts of the country where you say like, yeah, it means like, hey.
Yeah.
But in Busan, it's ma.
Right.
Oh.
Right. You can actually hear this, at the baseball stadium. It's kind of like a fan culture.
Okay.
Yeah, when those two teams are playing, and then the other team is doing too well, then Busan fans go like, "Ma, don't do it too well."
Oh, that's cute. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Often in English, we'll say like, hey, 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 hey.
Same.
Hey.
Right.
Mama.
Yeah. So there are actually 3 different meanings, like ma as in just do it, or ma as in hey, or ma as in don't do it.
Oh, that's... So wait, ma means do it and don't do it.
Yeah, like just do it. Stop complaining, just do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you can tell from whoever is speaking from the tone of their
Right.
because hajima.
Yeah.
It comes from hajima.
Right.
I guess the don't do it part. That's cute. Mama. Hey. That's a good one today. All right, Jimmy, thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much for this season of Bring On Busan. The new season of Steve Hatherly Reboot starts next Monday. The new
Yeah.
season of BEFM starts next Monday.
I know.
Which is exciting. And you're going to be with us for the new season. Pardon me. The segment will be a little bit different, but somehow similar as well.
Yeah.
And we look forward to that. So see you next week, Jimmy.
All right, see you next week.
Stay with us for hour number 2. It'll be the Killers to wrap up the first today. Human.
BEFM 부산 영어방송.
구 년 전, 한국에서의 새로운 출발을 위해 부산을 처음 찾은 프랭크. 부산의 자연과 사람, 부산에서 누리는 모든 것을 사랑하는 그는 부산의 변함없는 한대에 늘 감탄합니다.
I think that Busan people are actually very, very kind and very welcoming. If I seemed a little lost, there was always someone that was there to ask me if I needed help. They're more seriously friendly than it's very serious. I very seriously want to help you.
부산의 한결같은 모습도 늘 감동을 주지만 이제는 부산의 미래를 꿈꾸며 2030년 부산의 새로운 도약을 기대합니다.
Busan people are very proud of their city. They want to share the city with everyone. If we get the World Expo, it'll really put Busan on a global map.
세계 박람회가 어울리는 도시, 미래를 향한 힘찬 도약. 부산에서 출발한 파도는 이미 세계를 향해 뻗어 나가고 있습니다. 2030 부산 세계 박람회. 부산이 시작하고 대한민국이 함께 이뤄갑니다. 이 캠페인은 지역과 함께하는 든든한 동반자 BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
괜찮아 괜찮아 조금 불편해도 환경을 위해 너무 괜찮아 일회용 대신 머그컵 비닐봉지 대신 에코백 물티슈 대신 손수건 우리의 실천 하나하나 모여 세상을 바꿔요 깨끗한 세상 플라스틱 제로 일회용품 제로 함께해서 참 좋은 우리의 시민 불편하더라도
이 캠페인은 부산환경공단이 함께합니다.
김밥가게 박 사장님도 문구점 김 사장님도 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You're listening to Steve Hatherly Reboot on BEFM 90.5. Interesting. That was Ice Nine Kills with their interpretation of Can't Help Falling in Love. The horror-themed theatricore pioneers have put their unique spin on this cover of the Elvis Presley classic. I wonder what Elvis would think about that. Ice Nine Kills, by the way, they're an American heavy metal band. They're from Boston, Massachusetts, and they're best known for their horror-inspired lyrics. They formed in its earliest incarnation in the year 2000 by some different high school friends. Yeah, it's all an issue, right? Whether you think the classic, the original, is the best, or whether you can appreciate some new interpretations of things. If you are a person who only enjoys like the classic original stuff, we call those people purists. And I remember learning about this type of thing when people interpret art. When I was in university and having a conversation, our class was having a conversation with our professor about this, because I think at that time, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet had come out into theaters. I think this was in my university days. And the discussion was, should we enjoy this type of thing? Because if you saw Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, did you see it? He had like these modern looking guns in there, and the soundtrack was very modern sounding, and it had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. And was it Kate Winslet? No, that was Titanic. Who was the other person in Romeo and Juliet? Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. Can somebody text me the answer, please? Anyway, I remember having the discussion. Is this a good thing, or is this a bad thing? Because purists, people who love original Shakespeare, they would say, no, this is terrible. We shouldn't be taking a classic work of art like Romeo and Juliet and turning it into some pop culture conversation piece by some wannabe cool Hollywood director and some up-and-coming actors. DiCaprio was young at the time. My argument was the opposite. It was Claire Danes, thank you. Claire Danes. Claire Danes was a young up-and-comer at the time as well. My argument was the opposite. I said, well, if we take these old pieces of art, and even though they're slightly reinterpreted, you still have the core of the work there, right? The core of Romeo and Juliet was in the movie. Sure, there were extra little pieces like modern cars and modern guns and things like that, but the script was the same. And in the song that we just heard, Can't Help Falling in Love by Ice Nine Kills, yeah, it was a different style of music, but the words were just the same. And this was my final point. It can help introduce the art to a new generation of people. Not everyone reads Shakespeare. So if you can take a classic Shakespeare story and you can introduce it to young people, or people who maybe would never have read Shakespeare before, because it has Leonardo DiCaprio, everybody's going to watch that. It has Claire Danes, everybody's going to watch that. And then it introduces Shakespeare to them. Maybe you'll get some new fans. Maybe not everyone knew about Elvis Presley's Can't Help Falling in Love. So maybe the Ice Nine Kills version would introduce some people who don't know about Elvis to his music. Does that make sense? Sorry, I talked about that for too long, but I really like this kind of discussion about art and reinterpreting art, and if that's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. It's very divisive. Some people really don't like it. Others think it's a really great thing. Anyway, that tune got us into hour number 2 of Steve Hatherly Reboot on this Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for staying with me for it. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Jongwon and Noksan areas in Seoul, on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. Coming up in hour number 2 of the show today, we're going to talk about coffee a little bit. Jacu coffee. Have you heard of it before? It's from Brazil. It's very rare. Even in Brazil, as a matter of fact, it's very rare. This is not found all over that country. It's from one particular spot. And it's so rare and it's so special, it is very, very, very expensive. I can't wait to tell you the price of this coffee. I can almost guarantee you I will never drink this. Not because of my taste or anything like that. I'm just not paying that much for any coffee, that's for sure. I'll tell you about that through our fun fact of the day. Then, for Inside Korea, 3 stories to share. Number 1, the number of middle-aged boomerang kids is on the rise here in Korea. That's children in their 40s and 50s still living with their parents at home. That'll be our first story. After that, we'll talk about instant coffee. There's a love of instant coffee here in Korea, and it's finding its place on the global stage, which is kind of a cool thing, I think. My dad will be happy about that because my dad prefers instant coffee to brewed coffee, which I always gave him a hard time about that when I was in high school. You know, we had our coffee pot in the house and everybody would drink the coffee pot coffee except for Dad. He would always make his own instant coffee. And I would ask him, what are you doing? Just drink the coffee from the pot. It's like, no, this tastes better to me. Okay. To each his own. Chacun son goût, they say in French. Following that, story number 3. An 82-year-old grandma took the Sunung exam this year, and I'll tell you that story as well. We'll also have today music coming up in hour number 2, and I'll check your messages throughout that second hour, this second hour as well. All right, question of the day today. After you retire, what do you want to do? What do you want to learn? And it doesn't have to be a serious thing. I mentioned I was thinking last night about becoming a DJ after I turned 70 years old. DJ Hara would be my name. 1149 texted in and said, I want to open a coffee shop, which I think is a really cool and fun and kind of chill idea as well. If Nim texted in and said, I want to learn how to write a book. Oh, this is such a cool idea. I want to learn how to write and have a book that I wrote myself someday after I retire. Yeah, me too. But not like an autobiography, not about my life. Nobody wants to read that. I want to write a novel. I don't know how to write a novel. I was an English major. I took writing classes, but I didn't take novel writing classes, and that's different. So I would love to do that someday as well. I think that would be so cool. And it doesn't matter. You just start it, and then if you finish in a year, or if you finish in 2 years or 3 years, just keep going until you think it's done. And after you start the process, you can make like a storyboard, right? You make a storyboard and set out all your characters, think about your characters, and then what is the main storyline? And then, how do these different stories connect with each other? And then as you keep writing, then you keep studying, right? You keep taking these classes. There's probably online stuff about this. Keep taking the classes so that your skills as a novelist will develop as you get better. And if it's at the end, when you're finished, then try to get it published. But if nobody wants to publish it, who cares? Doesn't matter. It's your novel. You wrote it. Oh, that's an amazing, amazing idea. And then you could give it like as gifts to people. This is my novel. It didn't get published. Nobody wanted it, but here, I would like you to have it so that you can read it. I think that would be cool. And you know what? If it's really bad, don't need to care about that either. There's so many bad movies out there. In fact, maybe we could do that for Friday Fun Day. Did you know about this? There's a movie out there that everyone has agreed is the worst movie in the world in the history of films. Napidi, have you ever heard about this? It's agreed that movie is the worst. Maybe I'll do that for Friday. So it doesn't matter the quality. I really support your idea, Nim. So when are you going to start? That's the question. Someday. You said someday, yeah? All right, that's what I want to know today. 은퇴 후에 하고 싶은 것 또는 배우고 싶은 것은 무엇인가요? Let me know your answer. Silly on our YouTube chat said, well, after I retire, I want to learn cooking, and I want to become a genius, and I want to learn curling, and I want to set the 100-meter dash records, and I will learn those things from various people. The 100-meter dash record will come The teaching will come from Usain Bolt. Yeah, that's if you're going to learn from somebody, he's probably the guy that you want to learn from. All right, think about your answers and then text them to me, pounder sharp 9050 for 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. Now, PD, I'm curious about your answer, too. You don't have to tell me right now, but after you retire, what type of fun thing would you like to do? Oh, you already texted me. Sorry about that. He said, I want to run a lottery shop. Ooh, why? He says, why? I want to run a lottery shop so I can win and then just immediately quit the shop. Yeah, I don't think owning a lottery shop increases your chances of winning the lottery, does it? I'm not sure. Anyway, all right. Well, let's all stop by Na's Lottery when we get older. That's a good one. All right. Expression of the day. This is from King the Land, the hotel heir, and the young woman. Things are starting to heat up now. It is kind of like the first official beginning of their dating time. And they're going for a walk down the street, and they're still kind of talking about, oh, should we date or should we not date? Like that type of thing. And then when he talks about like, oh, if you date me, then this is how you should feel about that. And this is what he says. All right, the music was a little noisy there, but I'll help you out with it. He said, 괜히 다른 건 기대하지 말고. Okay, let's see if we can cut some stuff out here so we can learn something simple today. All right. The translation for 괜히 다른 거 is about anything else. All right, but 괜히 is a word in Korean that has a lot of different ways you can use it. And 다른 거 means like other thing. So for today, we can revisit. We can come back to 괜히 someday, but for today, let's just get rid of that, okay? Let's focus on 기대하지 마. And the end of the sentence was 하지 말고 because he's not finished speaking yet. So let's change that. 기대하지 마요. There, super simple. 기대하지 마요. All right, so what does it mean? 기대하다. 기대하다 is to expect something. So when you say 하지 마, it means don't do that thing. So 기대하지 마 means don't expect too much. 치마, let me rephrase. It doesn't have to be 하지마. It can just be, it depends on the verb, right? So, for example, the verb 가다, to go, if you put 가지마, 지마, it means don't go. 하다, to do, 하지마, don't do. There's 1 million examples there, but it's 기대하다. That's the verb to expect. So 기대하지 마요. All right, so don't expect too much. Okay, that's a good sentence on its own. The grammar is okay there. Don't expect too much, but the translation was quite good, I think. The translation said this: don't get your hopes up. Don't get your hopes up. In English, to get your hopes up means to anticipate or expect something good or something great. So in their conversation, he's kind of making a joke. He said, hey, if you date me, don't get your hopes up. Don't expect too much. Meaning, lower your expectations. Don't get your hopes up. This is a really good sentence in English to learn because you can use it quite often about things where people may be disappointed. Okay, let me give you an example. We'll give some English sentence examples and then come back to the Korean. Okay, let's give the example of a movie. There's a new movie in the theaters. Let's talk about the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I saw the film, for example. I still haven't seen it. But in this example, I saw the film. So I say to Na PD, hey, I saw the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie. He said, oh, I'm going to watch it this week. I'm so excited. And I can say, don't get your hopes up. Meaning, it's not that good. Or I can also say, don't expect too much. You can say it that way as well. Or if you want, you can say, don't expect much. All right. That's one example. Another example. Let's say that I go to some tourist location next to the ocean. And I say to my friends, I went to that place and, my friends say, oh, I really want to go there too. I say, yeah, don't get your hopes up. Don't expect too much. It's not really that great. So this expression means lower your expectations. Okay, let's go back and do this in Korean now. For the movie example, 나 PD, 나 새로운 그 리오나르도 디카프리오 필름 봤어요. 지난 주말에. 나도 이번 주 뭐 볼 거야 제가. 근데 나 PD 기대하지 마세요. 기대하지 마요. Means don't expect too much. It's not, and what you're saying there is it's actually not that good. Another example, 제가 이번 주 그 새로운 식당에서 먹었는데 어땠어요? 기대하지 마세요. 그 별로 맛없어요. It's not really that good. So it's useful, right? Because we often have these types of conversations with people where we say, don't think that's great because that thing is actually not that great. It comes out a lot when we talk with people. That's why these are really good expressions to learn. All right, hopefully that helps out your Korean or your English. Let's hear it one more time. In the full sentence, he said, 괜히 다른 건 기대하지 말고.
괜히 다른 건 기대하지 말고.
That was tough to hear. I apologize for that music there. It's so annoying. I wish we could take out the music. Anyway, that's what he said. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about our fun fact of the day. I don't know if I've ever heard of coffee this expensive before, and I'll tell you about it. First, Blink 182 one more time. was Blink 182. That's the new tune from Blink 182. What do you think? It's called One More Time. Time now for our fun fact of the day, and we're going to talk about expensive coffee. A coffee made from bird droppings that sells for the price of gold in Europe. That is what I'm talking about. And that is the curious treasure that is a Brazilian farm that have been guarding for years. Their secret, thanks to the surprise appearance of a bird similar to a pheasant. No one could have foreseen this, but and I don't know how to say this word in the local language, Jacuacu? I'm not sure. But anyway, in English, it's called a dusky-legged guan. And it has this kind of discreet black plumage and very loud and noisy cries. But it's a good bird to have on a coffee farm because of its digestive system. Apparently, it's a marvel. And the coffee beans that come out the back end of the bird, if you will, I'm being polite, it's a thing of gold. Nobody was more surprised about this discovery than Enrique Sloper. He's the owner of a family-run coffee plantation who first defined the appearance of the birds as a plague. Little did he know, though, that soon the animals would become his staunchest allies and a valued partner in the business. He said it was really scary in the beginning because it's a big bird. It makes a lot of noise, it breaks branches, and there were a lot of them. So I actually called the environmental protection body, but they didn't know what to do. They said, why don't you put a predator in your coffee farm? So he said, what do you mean, like a jaguar or an eagle? In the end, they just left me with the birds. He said that. That was a quote from an interview that he did. Well, his land is scattered around a dozen valleys in the mountains of Espírito Santo in southeastern Brazil, and it's located next to a national park. If the state of Espírito Santo were a country, it would be the fourth largest coffee producer in the world, just to give you an idea of this region. But among the thousands of coffee plantations in Brazil, this one is different. It is the only one that has, if you will. After the initial fright of the invasion, Sloper recalls a trip to Indonesia. Have you heard about this before? That's when he learned about the exclusive Kopi Luwak coffee, which is made using the droppings of the palm civet, a small nocturnal mammal. So he thought, well, if they're doing that in Indonesia with one type of animal, maybe I can try this with the birds, the giant birds that have invaded my coffee space. And that's exactly what he did. He convinced the farm workers, hey, you guys, this is what you need to do now. And they said, ew, what? Gross. No, we're not picking that up. But finally, after convincing them, they agreed. And along the way, they discovered several things. Among them, that the transit through the animal's digestive tract means that these coffee beans do not need fermentation, and that the process eliminates almost all the caffeine. The beans come out the other side of the bird perfectly whole. In perfect condition. Also decisive was the good taste. Apparently, it tastes amazing. And they come out, the beans, fully ripe, too, and that helps the flavor. For the coffee to be considered of special origin on sales certificates, the fruit must be harvested ripe. So these beans are considered ripe, and that's why this is considered coffee of superior quality. The production of this Jacu coffee started over a decade ago, and it quickly became one of the most expensive coffees in the world. Are you ready? It is sold in the exclusive Harrods department store in London. That's like the bougie, expensive department store in London, and it sells 1 kilogram for $1,700 per kilo. Gosh, I would drink that coffee so slowly. Again, I'd have a cup of that coffee just. You want to make it last the whole day, right? $1,700 a kilogram for coffee that this bird that eats the beans and then comes out the backside. I don't know. I haven't tasted it. I'm not sure if it's that amazing, but I'll just say this. I'm pretty happy with my local coffee shop, and I think I'll just continue to buy my coffee there. There you go. That's today's fun day. The Jacu coffee beans from Brazil. Very, very expensive. What a genius business idea that turned out to be. We'll have a break, and when we come back, a busy day in Inside Korea is on the way. 3 different stories to share with you after this. Joel, Corey, and Mabel. I wish. I'm still in shock. Are you still in shock? Picture Shimon for coffee. Oh, 1149. Nim, you texted in the first hour. You said you wanted to open a coffee shop later on. There you go. If you can sell that Jacu coffee, you can retire after a month of selling that, I think, in your coffee shop. There you go. Business idea for you. I want 10%. That's my standard rate. It is time for Inside Korea. You heard Joel, Corey, and Mabel a moment ago with I Wish. And now let's dive in. We've got 3 stories to talk about here. First up, the number of middle-aged boomerang kids is on the rise here in Korea. The so-called boomerang kids, adults living with their parents for financial reasons, are not confined to 20-somethings or 30-somethings here in the country. People in their 40s and 50s who are not currently engaged in employment, education, or training and are living at their parents' home are increasing in number, but are overlooked and pushed aside in favor of youth who are in similar situations when it comes to government support. Quote, though causes for middle-aged seclusion are interlaced and complex, it has a lot to do with economic conditions and working experience. There are many cases where as the job search drags on, people fall into despair and become isolated as their social relationships narrow. That is a quote from Park Dae-ryong, who is the director at the Iadang Counseling Center. People who are in their 20s when the 1997 financial crisis hit are now in their 40s and 50s. Add to this the economic slowdown after COVID, which leads to the current trend of increase in middle-aged recluses seeking counseling. One client, there was an example given in the story, was a client who was in his late 40s and was a university student when the IMF crisis hit. As employment was hard to come by then, he spent years preparing for civil service exams while working the odd part-time job. But his exam scores, they weren't good enough, and he quit working. And he became what the government would classify as a NEET, that N-E-E-T that I mentioned before. That's the not engaged in employment, education, or training. That's a group that the government refers to as NEET. After he entered into his 40s, he qualified to be in that group. The client now lives with his parents who are in their 70s, and he spends most of his time at home. And they say that this is a growing number in the country. Looking at some numbers here, there were 270,000 NEETs in their 40s in September of this year. And that is up 38.5% compared to 5 years ago in September of 2018. That's a pretty significant increase. That's according to economic activity analysis that Statistics Korea released just this past Monday. People who are removed from the workforce for specified reasons, such as childbirth or child rearing, those people are not included when they calculate this group. The rate of increase for middle-aged NEETs or NEETs who live in their parents' home is even steeper. Those were 56,000 in their 40s living in their parents' home as of September 2018, and that number jumped to 31,000 this year. So there you go. That's the update. The government has this on their radar, and hopefully there will be something done about it in the future. When they compare, and that was the start of the story, right? When they compared the groups, young people in their 20s living with their parents and then people in their 40s and 50s living with their parents, both looking for work or both not in the job market, the government tends to focus its help on the young people, and that's what this issue is all about. All right, moving on to story number 2. Korea's beloved instant coffee mix has found its place on the global stage. Have you seen this? They use this as an example in the story. Have you seen Moving? Moving is a drama on the D+ app. It's so good. If you haven't seen Moving yet, I would totally recommend it. In my opinion, the beginning of the series, like the first half of the series, is stronger than the end. But overall, I think it's an amazing show. Anyway, in this drama, instant coffee has a recurring role underlying character development and historical context and things like that. Episode 8, for example, features a moment from 1994 where one of the characters works for this male-dominated intelligence agency. And in one scene, she portrays herself, or it shows her making a cup of instant coffee for her boss. Well, it might seem trivial to you. If you're watching the show, you might think, yeah, no big deal. But this encapsulates a broader cultural transition. Before the late 1990s, the Korean ritual of preparing a cup of coffee involved reaching into 3 separate jars of coffee powder, coffee creamer, and sugar. However, the introduction of the 3-in-1 coffee mix, the ingredients conveniently pre-mixed in stick pouch, soon took over this tradition with unmatched convenience. This was a big time in Korea's coffee history when that happened. It made things so incredibly simple. Korean dramas have a history of featuring these instant coffee mixes. There are a few examples there. But the inclusion of instant coffee in K-dramas and movies mirrors its growing popularity and export as Korean contents reach a wider global audience via streaming services. Korean coffee mix exports. They are rising. They rose 4.7% to $336.19 million in 2022. That's according to the Korea Agricultural Trade Information. So we're seeing that with the increase in interest in Korean dramas, the amount of Korean coffee mix being exported to other parts of the world is rising as well. And I never thought that I would see this, but it makes total sense because these famous characters are drinking the instant coffee mix, so it makes the people watching the dramas super curious about that, so they want to buy it. I absolutely see the connection. Hannah says, I don't know why, but the instant coffee made from those machines tastes better than the mixes you get at home or make at home. Yeah, right. Like the machines that you'll have in an old-style office. Yeah, I know. Or at a restaurant. They have them at restaurants, too. If you finish eating, oftentimes they'll give you a free little cup of coffee that makes the instant coffee mix for you, and somehow it just tastes amazing. That's for sure. Anyway, isn't that cool? The instant coffee exports are way up because of probably of the popularity of the dramas where the characters are drinking that coffee. Anyway, moving on to our final story here. This is so sweet. I mean, I almost cried when I read this. An 82-year-old woman by the name of Kim Jong-ja was the oldest person to take the college entrance exam this year. Kim walked into the Seoul Girls High School in Mapo, that's a district in western Seoul, on Thursday to take the college scholastic ability test while being cheered on by her classmates. Miss Kim was born in 1941. She was born in Japan, and she moved to Masan, South Gyeongsang Province, after Korea was liberated from Japanese colonial rule. However, the Korean War broke out in 1950, and that denied her an education at elementary school. Even after the war finished, she had to work because she was the eldest of 8 children in a poverty-stricken family. She started to study again after her children grew up. She began attending Ilsung Women's High School in Mapo 5 years ago. She only started 5 years ago at the age of 77, and she didn't miss one class. Initially, she was unable to write her own name in Korean. She wasn't able to read or write, but she now writes poems, and she also studied English to communicate with her grandchildren because they are living in the United States. She made an appearance on TV 4 years ago, and she told the story of when she took her daughter to the airport when her daughter was leaving for the United States. She said she cried because she couldn't find the departure gate because at that time she didn't have the ability to read. She was illiterate. But that is all behind her now, and I guess she'll have to wait for her results because the official, Napidi, I don't think the official results of the Sunung have come out. I don't think they were released yet. So she'll have to wait a little bit to find out her results. But you know what? It doesn't matter, does it? It's such a sweet, heartwarming story. And congratulations to her for accomplishing that goal. You know, talking today about the question, what do you want to do after your retirement? What do you want to learn? She wanted to get her education that she was denied getting in her younger years. There you go. Those are our 3 stories for today's Inside Korea. We'll have a break and come back for Today in Music. Here is Panic at the Disco. Hey, look, Ma, I made it. was Panic at the Disco. Hey, look, Ma, I made it. And now it's time for Today in Music, where we look back on the calendar, musically speaking, to see what we can see and learn what we can learn. We'll start today in 1975. Today is November 22nd. And That's the Way I Like It on this day in that year by KC and the Sunshine Band went to #1 in the United States. The song is one of the few in music history to reach #1 on the charts twice in the same month. First, it was replaced at the #1 spot by Fly Robin Fly by Silver Convention, but then replaced that song in turn, completing its 3-week run. You don't hear about that very often. In 1986, Human by the Human League went to #1 in America. In this song, a guy is coming clean after stepping out on his girl, telling her he only did it to fill the empty void inside him while they were apart. That excuse is never going to work, sir. In 1994, Pearl Jam released their third studio album, Vitalogy, featuring such hits as Better Man and Spin the Black Circle. Vitalogy, I think I said Vitalogy before. It became one of the fastest-selling albums ever at the time, only surpassed by Versus in 1993. In 1998, Alanis Morissette was at #1 on the U.S. album chart with her 4th record, Supposed Former Infatuation Junkie was the name of that. The first single from that album, Thank You. It received a Grammy Award nomination for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. In 2004, U2 shot the video for All Because of You from a moving flatbed truck on the streets of Brooklyn in New York City. Later in the day, they performed a brief concert under the Brooklyn Bridge. That was taped by MTV for a later showing. And finally, we'll stop here today. In 2005, poems written by Bob Dylan in his college days sold for $78,000 at a New York City auction. The pages, 16 pages of poems, were the first known time that Robert Zimmerman used the Dylan name and came from his studies at the University of Minnesota during 1959 and 1960. Let's think about that. The poems of Bob Dylan sold for $78,000. And that's not close to having enough money to buying 1 kilogram of Pacu coffee from Brazil. I can't let it go. I'm sorry. Here's the Human League. Human. That was the Human League with Human, and it is time to say goodbye for today. That'll do it for Steve Hatherly Reboot for this Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me over the last couple of hours. Hope you enjoyed yourself today. Thanks to Jimmy for today's Bring On Busan. Thanks to you, as always, for your listenership and your participation. I've been your host, Steve Hatherly, and I will leave you with this one today. It's the Chainsmokers and Coldplay, Something Just Like This. Enjoy that track, enjoy your day, and we'll reboot again tomorrow.